Welcome in, welcome in. What a race. I mean, that was something. This is classic NASCAR happening right here. I mean, we are getting back to classic NASCAR. Guys racing hard, losing it on restarts, things like that. I mean, it's just we're back to like hard to drive NASCAR, and it's great. Racing has been great this year. What else can you say? Wow, what a race. All right. Wow, 20 of you guys in here already? I haven't even been going for a minute yet. I haven't even got my water set up. I gotta go grab my water quick. But, yeah, we're gonna talk about the finish. We're gonna talk about everything going through. But first, I'm gonna grab my water. I'll be right back, ladies and gentlemen. So... Okie dokie. All right, let's read some chat, go through the race, look at some results, and go from there. All right. We're going to start here at the top. We got some different reactions. Chastain fans, pain. Truex fans, pain. Universe Cup Series says, that was a garbage. Joey had the option to pass, but decided to wreck him. What's going on? That was an interesting finish. What's going on is that's new NASCAR, ladies and gentlemen. I don't know if I liked it, but that's what it is. Jackson B41 says, don't care that my boy's wrecked. Just a good old-fashioned racing. There's arguments there. Really, Logano, you couldn't just pass? Yeah, no, Logano doesn't want to pass. But today's a perfect example of why William Byron will never be a champion. And I shouldn't say will never, but until something changes, because people will literally run all over him, and he did nothing about it. I mean, he just says he's a moron. Oh, darn. I'm sure Logano's so upset about it. You know, he doesn't do anything. Byron, Truex, a lot of those guys, bark, no bite. They'll never, ever do anything about it. So I hate to say it, because Byron's talented. He's fast, but, you know, unfortunately, it just doesn't come together. Yes, all in favor of him giving it back. I mean, I wish I could say I'm in favor, but he's never going to do it. That wasn't good old Robbins racing. That was just dirty. Yeah, a little bit. Chase's chances, Joey the Hack. Yeah, again, I think, hey, he won the race. He's in the playoffs. That's the classic Joey thing. Like, I don't care if I got to, break your back, literally, to try and win the race. I'll do it. Like, he just doesn't care. Let's see, good race. I hope William puts Logano on the wall at Kansas. That's not how you win a race, but for him, he's done it his whole career, and that's why Kenseth wrecked him at Martinsville was so great. Yeah, I mean, that's a perfect example of why people enjoy or will always defend Kenseth for that, because Logano has dumped people his entire career and never faced consequences for it. Nobody ever does anything. He wrecks people constantly, and they never actually do anything about it. So, that's why a lot of these guys aren't champions. I hate I hate Joey done it, but it's making the season interesting, getting people talking about. Yeah, no, it's been a great season. The racing's been fantastic. The car puts out just a fantastic racing product. I cannot wait for next week. But that being said, I mean, what else can you say? Like, he flat out dumped him coming to the white flag, and you know, I mean, what else? What else can you say? Like, that's just what it was. I was hoping for Byron to pull a Cole Trickle and send Logano on the victory lap. I wouldn't have even blamed him, but he's not going to do anything. He never does. And I mean, again, I like Byron, but I'm frustrated by the fact that he never does anything. It's like, dude, let's do something, man. Like, man, that's frustrating. All right, let's see here. That's why Elliott is a champion and is going to win another. He doesn't take people's crap. Look at the Hamlin and Harvick. Yeah, I mean, you know, I would agree. I think, you know, he makes sure to put a point that if you run me over, I will make your race worse. I will not let you just get away with running me over. Again, you can say that it's, you know, childish or something, but the fact is it works. You know, if you can get it where guys will stop running over you, then it's worked. It's done its job. So, you know, that's just, unfortunately, nobody seems to stand up to Joey Logano. They just let him run over them, and then Truex a perfect example. You know, he ran him over, and then Truex never did anything. It was all bark and no bite. Byron hasn't had a chance to do anything about it. Wait until he's in a position, something. Yeah, no, I mean, I get what you're saying there, Finn, but the problem is he had an opportunity to go up and confront him on the front stretch or anything, and all he did is go straight to pit road and call him a moron. Like, you know, at the end of the day, he didn't even show he was mad on track or anything. And I'm not a huge fan of wrecking people's race cars, but Logano literally did just wreck his race car. So, I mean, the fact that he just parks on pit road and calls him a moron, like, you know, I said I like Byron, but it's the same thing I've seen from different guys in the past. They're all bark and no bite, and that gets you run over. People just run you over. You know, Truex today got wrecked because somebody put him in a real bad 3-wide position, but guess what? Truex, he ain't going to do anything about it. What's he going to do? Make your life harder in the next race? Nah. You know, that's the problem. Let's see here. Would have been awesome if Logano fails tech. Yeah, that would hand the win to Reddick. So that'd be something. Yes, on a positive note, let's talk about them trackhouse schemes. Unfortunately, both had some pretty rough days. Chastain got wrecked himself, and Suarez had a bad day. So NASCAR, go woke, go broke. I'm not sure what that means. It was racing. Will I be at the next week? Or will I be at the race next week? Yes, I will. I will be at Kansas, so you will not get a post-race live stream until I'm maybe on the way home. And I'm not driving. I don't do it while driving, but if I'm riding, I will sometimes put my phone on, so we'll see. Let's see. Byron will be a champion. I don't understand why he won't be, and wrecking his racing. I mean, that's the problem there, Kyle. If he's not going to ever wreck someone and he's just going to get taken advantage of all the time, that's why you don't win championships, because people know they can just run you over and you won't do anything about it. And that's, unfortunately, it'll cost you championships. You know, it doesn't cost him today, but those 5 points, what happens when he misses the cutoff to the round of 4 or the championship round on points and he misses it by 3 points? Well, those 5 points would have been real handy, and that's just that kind of stuff, unfortunately. Dalton Johnson says it was a dirty move. People forget that Joey was wrecked early on in his career and wanted him to do something about it, and then when he did, he became the enemy. Yes, I understand what you're saying there, Angel, because that was true. People were taking advantage of him and wrecking him. The problem is now he just does it to everyone, and that's the thing. What did William Byron ever do to him? You know, raced him hard on a restart? I mean, they say like he just ran hard on the inside and got the lead from him. That's not worthy of just wrecking a guy. You know, there's a difference there. Truex ran him clean at Martinsville and he just wrecked him anyway. You know, that's the kind of thing that drives people nuts, is when, you know, you race people how you want to get raced. Instead, he just rams into people and then cries about it when someone does it to him. That's the difference. Like, it'd be one thing if, you know, like Byron getting run over and then he goes out and runs just Joey over. Then it's like, okay, you made your point. But then if Byron goes out next week and runs over Cole Custer, well, Cole didn't do anything, so it's that sort of thing. All right, let's see here. Frank F. says Byron should have confronted Logano. I mean, at least he was mad, but you got to stand up for yourself or you get run over. Exactly. NASCAR Fan 04, Logano just wrecked him, and to wreck him, that's why people don't like Logano. Yeah, I'm one of them. I'm not a huge Logano fan. I've seen him win 3 times, but one of them was him almost wrecking Mark Martin. The other one, he almost wrecked Matt Kenseth. No, he did wreck Matt Kenseth. And then the third one was he never had a chance because it was that air race where Kevin Harvick couldn't get past the dirty air bubble. So, that's what it was. Will Tyler ever win? I believe he will. He won't win the damn war. Martin Truex on his way to losing the damn war. Yep. Let's see. Maybe NASCAR should investigate all Logano's incidents and say if he keeps doing that, he will be penalized and suspended. I mean, they used to, and then people said they wanted it in the driver's hands, and then Matt Kenseth did that, and people were like, oh, no, we don't like it in the driver's hands. It's like, you can't have it both ways in NASCAR. You can't let people just wreck somebody else for no reason, intentionally, and then sit there and go and throw a fit if he does it back. You can't just let that happen. That's not fair in racing. That's the thing that was so ridiculous is Logano wrecks Kenseth. Oh, no big deal. Wrecks him again. No big deal. Kenseth wrecks him back. Oh, that's a huge deal. Like, that's not fair to the guy that keeps getting wrecked. You can't let a guy just full-blown take advantage. I mean, there used to be you get a penalty for aggressive driving. And right there, what he did, that would have warranted a penalty. Intentionally ramming into the back of a guy to crash him would have been a 1-lap penalty. You're in the back of the field. If anything, all it does is at least it encourages you to go for the win. The last thing you want is basically intentionally crashing on the last lap. And I mean that's the last thing we want, because what that does is it eliminates any possibility of a close finish. Because you look at how it works in video games. Every time a guy's side-by-side coming out of turn 4, if he's at the corner panel, you're getting turned. You're getting wrecked. Why? Because there's no consequences. So if the consequence is you can turn him in front of the entire field coming to the line, but we're going to penalize you a lap and you're not going to win. So I understand there are, it's maybe unpopular, but unfortunately it's somewhat necessary if it keeps going in this direction. He had a lot of time to pass him, but he just desperately dumped him. He didn't have as much time, but he didn't try to pass him. He just rammed him, and yeah. Cody Ware did finish 19th. Top 20 for Cody Ware, by the way, everybody. I agree. It sounded like a private school spoiled baby, but you do not interrupt celebrations. What's the unwritten rules left slowly eroding, but you do not do that. Well, I mean, you can say interrupt the celebration, but at the end of the day, does he deserve to be celebrating? I mean, there's a very fair point in that, because that's what the fans were booing him about. It was like, hey, you just literally wrecked that car. That car got wrecked. He finished 13th. He was first coming around to see the white flag and ends up 13th because he got wrecked. Like, his car was limped around to 13th. But, that was a pretty trash move, and it deserves, that there's a confrontation is deserved. These cars suck, plus the exhaust sound. I mean, you can say what you want, but they're putting on a heck of a good racing product. I'd like to see more horsepower, and I'd love to see the numbers back where they belong, but the racing on the track is good. That's all I need to say. I was scared the Chase Elliott Abomination car was going to go to victory lane. Lionel would probably do two backups, and then I see instead of the other one. Yeah, that's unfortunate that they couldn't run the right car. But Byron says, when did Byron hit Logano? He didn't hit him. He just ran him hard off of turn 2, and it was really close. But I think Logano may have scraped the wall, but Byron wasn't up against him, so he crowded him, sure, but I mean they're racing side by side for the lead. Like, I don't know that you can really. What's he supposed to do? Yield? Like Joey was going to yield. Come on. Okay, we don't need to go F1 and IndyCar levels where a little contact gives you a drive-through penalty. I get that, Jeff. But what the point of it is basically to avoid. Let's get real here. Ty Gibbs should have been penalized for Richmond. He didn't even try to run the last corner. He just ran him out of room, and he admitted to it. And that's the thing. Let's see the guys race back to the line. Why do we want guys every good finish? Do we want a guy wrecked on the backstretch, or do we want him to be side by side coming out at 4 to the line? Like, I'd rather see a side by side finish to the line than a guy just getting hammered on the backstretch and just wrecked back there because, you can't risk running him all the way back to the checkered flag because he might dump you. Like, it's just not a good idea. I think intentionally crashing people is not a good thing for the sport. That doesn't help your credibility. No other racing series is it okay to just take out your competition because they're faster than you. That's just not good racing. And I'll go to the grave saying that it's not good for racing if you can just take someone out because they're faster than you. That's not good. They should go back to the old tires because nowadays they can't spin without blowing all four tires. It's not that they're blowing off all tires. They used to do that. They have no inner liners. So when they blow, they're completely on the rim and they can't go anywhere. So I do agree that they need an inner liner, but that's the really the big one down there. When the chips are down, Joey will resort to the cheap tactics. Yep, and he always will. But no one ever does anything about it, so why shouldn't he? Let's see. Stephen C says, yeah, but Byron and Logano fighting is literally like the two kids fighting in an all-male private school arguing over whose dad has more money. Both are examples of why the sport is losing fans. I think Byron is a good enough driver, but I do think there's a lack of personality. I mean, these guys, I cannot wait for the next 2-3 years because I think we're going to get Noah Gragson up in the Cup Series. I think we're going to get Ty Gibbs up in the Cup Series. I think we could possibly even see Josh Berrien up in the Cup Series. Like, we need some guys with some fire. I mean, these guys don't do anything. They get wrecked. They get intentionally crashed, and their answer is just, the guy's a moron. It's like, okay, that's fine. You're mad at him. That's fair, but that's it? That's your whole answer, is just he's a moron? Like, dude, where's the Tony Stewarts, the Jeff Gordons? Do you think Jeff Gordon would have let that slide? Do you think Tony Stewart would have let that slide? This is Kevin Harvick. You think he would have let that slide? Kevin Harvick about went to fist fight Chase Elliott because he blocked the air, let alone just dumped him for the win. So we need a little more of that back because you got these guys, I mean, they don't do anything. They get wrecked for wins and they just take it. And it's like, I don't understand why nobody's willing to, get aggressive about stuff. I'm just gonna say I hate Dale Earnhardt. Well, you're right, Jeff. I would not enjoy his racing. There were points of Earnhardt racing hard that I like, but man, when he just dumped Terry Labonte and he said he wanted to rattle his cage, I mean, I hated that move. I thought that was a total trash move. Just you got beat. The guy was faster. He passed you, got the lead, and you just wrecked him. Like, that's such a cheap win. And he got booed for that night for a good reason. It was cheap, and everybody knew it. So yeah. Let's see here. We could have had Darlington 03 2.0, but Logano has, well, yeah, no, I mean, that's exactly it, though. You'll never have another 03 Darlington because these guys will never get to that point of the lap. Look at how all these races are going to end from now on. They're just going to pile drive each other into the fence or into the wall, and there's no sense of trying to race back to the line because, no one's going to do anything about it. If you can just hook the guy coming to the flag, then why don't you just hook the guy coming to the flag? Like, it's dumb, but that's unfortunately where we're at. And I hate to say that we need to police it, but there needs to be something. You can't just, flat out wreck people for no reason. That's dumb. It's bad for the race. Let's see. Frank F says, yeah, I'll give the next gen big props for being good on the track. It's all in the details. It's a bit of a mess, but no interliner, one lug, number forward, 670. Yeah, there's a lot of issues. Up the horsepower, go back to the 5-lug, just because the 5-lug was so much easier to make sure you didn't have a loose wheel. And the only reason they went to this new wheel was for looks. Like, I'm sorry, I don't need looks that badly. The whole point was it's a stock car with racing wheels. The racing wheels were not supposed to be part of the stock car. So, I'm perfectly okay with bringing back, the element of the 5-lug pattern because it allows interliners. That solves that problem, solves the 1-lug problem, solves a lot of the tire problems, and it'll probably fix Martinsville in a hurry too because the biggest problem there was that there's too much tire there. They could accelerate too quickly, but at least Byron doesn't have his dad fighting his fights. I would agree there. I hate it when other people get involved because the driver's too wimpy too. Dale Earnhardt owned his dirty driving and he wouldn't just immediately immediately dump you the second he gets a run. I think that's what you meant to say there, Frank. But yeah, there's a difference between dirty driving and, like I said, there were a couple moves that were dirty and some hard blocking and things like that Earnhardt did. That's definitely for sure. But for the most part, Earnhardt did not just wreck people when trying to race them for the win. That's the big difference. Again, it happened at times. But there are points where it's like, dude, the guy was overdriving the car at all times. So, yeah, it was bound to happen. But he wouldn't have done what happened today. Especially with Byron not really doing anything. But Jeff says the 1-lug is, I actually support having loose lug nuts with the 5 was stupid, especially when you would DNQ. You would have a certain amount of loose, like the advantage from it. Oh, yeah, no. So, Elliott at Nashville lost his advantage on it. Like, there was no, he had 3 lug nuts tight, or 3 loose, and he had to back it off to finish the race. Like he lost 20 spots coming to the line to finish the race, and realistically, had he just pitted, he would have kept all his points. So the thing I look at is how many times did a wheel fall off in the 5 lug? Almost never. Like literally almost never did a wheel just fall off the car, and it almost never at speed. It just couldn't fall off at speed. And now we've had wheels falling off at speed under yellow on the pit boxes. Like we've had a lot of wheels fall off this year, and it does make me nervous. And that's the thing. I think the 5 lug pattern is something that wasn't broken and it didn't need to get fixed. Unifer says, at least I got 5 points for getting Joey coming first and Reddick second. Would have got all 6 if Larson came in third. Yeah, Larson unfortunately didn't have that. It goes to Harvick on Bristol. He would have rather been DNF'd instead of having to see the win slip. I mean, I'm sure that's super frustrating, but I think Harvick, I think it would have mattered. The fact was he was running for a win, and he was running hard when he made the contact with Chase. But I mean, arguably, you could easily say Joey's move was way dirtier than what Harvick did to Elliott, but Elliott still made sure he didn't win that race. And that's the thing. I don't think Harvick's going to just run Chase over next time because he knows Chase is going to make sure he ruins his race. And for Harvick, that's just not worth it. It doesn't mean he likes Chase anymore. It just means it's not worth running a guy over or even potentially running him over because he's going to make my race much harder from the rest of the season, and he's probably going to cost me more wins. Like, it's not worth it. Where Joey can just wreck a guy, and, when it's last lap and he's going a lap down, he'll pull off to the side. He's not going to get involved when, he should. Yeah, Bill Elliott was biased, but, I mean, can we really blame him? He's not really he's not really an analyst. He's there for throwback weekend, so there's nothing wrong with that. Yeah, I have no problem with having a little bias, especially when it's in the throwback weekend and the guy's his dad. Like, that's perfectly fair. All right, let's see here. Honestly, I think the 5-lug wheel. I think the 5-lug wheel looks way better than the one. Oh, I see what you're saying. Plus, the reason they have enormous penalties for a wheel falling off is because it's really dangerous. Yeah, no, I mean, you're right. It's really dangerous. And if you mess up all 5 lugs, it rattles loose, which means the driver can't handle the car. He's more likely to spin out than the wheel fall off the car. What the problem with these cars are, they come off so fast, you don't even know what's coming. You're going through turn 2, and all of a sudden, wheel's gone. Where in the other car, the car would shake so bad you couldn't go into turn 2. You'd spin out just trying to get around the track. And that's the thing. It was a self-policing problem. If the wheel was too loose, you would have a loose wheel, and then you'd have to come back to pit road. But when everyone was talking about how scared they were the wheels are going to go fly into the grandstands, not a single wheel had even fallen off a car that season. That's the part that drove me nuts. I'm like, it's a self-policing problem. If there's too many loose, the wheel rattles, you lose positions and go to pit road because there's nothing you can do about it. You can't drive the car. But the wheels weren't falling off. Now we have wheels literally falling off, and we're like, we'll get it fixed. It's no big deal. It's like, I mean, I'm not going to lie. My spot where I'm sitting next week is going to be turn 1 and pretty high up because I don't think a wheel's going to end up there, but it's not worth the risk. I think we've had at least one loose wheel or one wheel fall off the car per race. So it's got to get fixed. Oh, here we go. I don't know what I did here. Let's get that out of here. There we go. Okay. F1 and Indy needs to change to the 5 lugs. No, because they don't have that problem. There's a difference there, Jeff. We got heavier cars, so if for some reason they're not working properly. If Indy and Formula 1 were having the same problem with wheels coming off all the time, then yes, I would agree. But they're not. We are. All right. Frank F says it's also really hard for pit crew guys because there's very little tactile difference between tight lug and a loose one in the system. Yeah, and I mean it's very easy to tell when one's tight. Reddick and Hocevar are right there, and it stings these second place finishes. They're gonna get one. They got the speed. They're gonna get wins, and I cannot wait. Hocevar, I like Hocevar, but man, he's been so close. He's gonna get one of these. He's overdriving these Nice trucks, and I mean if it's any indication, I think Carson Hocevar is as good as Ross Chastain. And he's not there yet, but the talent's there. So I think Trackhouse would be very smart to start an Xfinity program and draft up Mr. Hocevar because you do not want him getting out of stable. If Bill Elliott is showing bias is bad, then so is Ned Jarrett. Yes, I agree, but I don't really care. Remember Daytona fans got hoofed by a tire from Larson's car? Yeah, and there have been fans killed by tires flying into the grandstand. That's why I'm like, it needs to probably get adjusted. Hocevar better than Moffitt? I mean, I'd have to say so. Moffitt ran those niche trucks last year, and when he raced against Hocevar, I think it was 50-50 who finished ahead, but I just think Hocevar has got more aggression. I think this year especially, Moffitt's needing to get they unload really bad and they get better throughout the race, but they need to get some work done on that O2 car. So, but yeah, I think Hocevar, I think he would be a very fitting component to the Cup Series eventually. I still think that Moffitt's a Cup caliber driver. I just don't know that. I need to see what a Cup guy does in his car or what he can do in a Cup car. Like I need to see some crossover. That's how it's easy to tell where's the potential, because when you see a guy like Reddick when he jumped in the 23 last year and Moffitt was in the 02, they ran similar to each other, which means okay, he has the ability to run with Reddick. Okay, well Reddick's a Cup caliber guy. When you see Cole Custer jump into the 07 and Riley Herbst is still in the 98, well Cole Custer's blowing the wheels off of the 98, so 98's not ready for Cup races. Yeah, Larson hit the catch fence, but again, we still got to be careful. Yeah, this was Joey's first win in 2 years, and frankly, he shouldn't have won. I mean, I said he had the speed for once, but how many good cars got knocked out of the race? I mean, pit strategy bit a bunch of good cars. They got stuck back in the pack. Like, Joey just having that number one pit stall is what won him the race this weekend, being able to just consistently get out front on pit stops or gain spots because the field got shuffled so many times. I mean, I do think that Chase had a good enough car. Had he been able to get there, would have been a top 3 car. But he just never got out of the traffic. I mean, he ran. I think he finished 5th, so he got at his best by the end of the race. But even on those final restarts, he started on the outside and he kept losing spots to the inside lane, then picking them off and getting them back, and then another yellow. So, that's an element of having to start in the back and making mistakes. If he didn't make all those mistakes, he probably has a better shot. But I don't know. I think he and Byron were still very equal in terms of how well their cars performed by the end of the race. I just think, the fact is the 9 didn't execute well today and 24 did. That's why I think they were very similar on speed. The 9 was better on long runs, but we never had a lot of long runs. So let's see here. How many wins would Joey have with his aggressive driving rule? Well, if everyone raced Joey the same way he races them, like he wouldn't have won the 2018 championship. He would have been not in the Final Four because no way Truex would have just ran him clean just to get wrecked. He would have punted out of the way with 3 to go and drove off and left him. So, at the end of the day, it's him taking advantage of other people trying to race clean is what won him a championship. But it's also what I think I don't think he's going to win another one because of it. And part of it is Penske's speed is a little off this year, but I think people are not going to take that chance with him anymore. I think he's used up all the goodwill he has. And once it gets down to the Final Four, if you pull a move like that, they're going to, look at Chase at Phoenix in 2020. Did he try to pass him cleanly and take his time? No. When he got to the backstretch, he just pushed him all the way down the backstretch and sent him off into turn 3. He didn't send him super hard, but he pushed him enough that it messed up his corner and he was able to clear him. So, it's just a thing that I think people are, when it comes to crunch time, they're not going to give him any leeway. Maybe if NASCAR wasn't lazy and let backup cars go through tech, Elliott would have been up front more. Yeah, I mean, the problem is they do practice qualifying back-to-back, so he was going to start in the back regardless. But, part of that's just, I don't know what happened on Friday or Saturday, because Harvick and Elliott both had the same issue. They lost tires going down the backstretch. So I'm not sure if it was something there, but I mean, at the end of the day, they both got top 5. So, good for them. Colby says, granted, I like Ross and dislike Joey. Yeah, that's because Ross at least came with good intentions, but don't get me wrong. I think Ross is going to use up a lot of that goodwill towards the end of this year. He's ran a lot of people really hard. I mean, I did not like that move on Truex last week. I thought Truex raced him very clean the whole race, and he just fenced him and ended up wrecking Truex. And that wasn't even for a win. So I didn't like that move from Ross. Like, he's going to need to stop driving like such a, too much of an idiot, because I don't want to not like him, but he's done some things. Joey wrecked Edwards in 16. Carl was going to win that title. Yeah, I can't blame Joey. I mean, I kind of do, but the biggest one I blame there was NASCAR. They threw a garbage yellow to try and tighten the field up, and it was just unnecessary. And I think that's the real reason Carl Edwards retired. Everyone said it was the stages or the playoffs. Carl Edwards retired after 2016 because NASCAR blatantly said, "Oh, this guy's going to win. Let's throw a yellow. Like, we need to find a reason to throw a yellow to make it entertaining." And after that, he just said, "I'm done. There's no integrity left in this sport," and walked away. And I don't blame him because he had that race won, and NASCAR cheated him out of it, in my opinion. All right, let's see here. So, let's see. It's good retaliation for Byron earlier. Joey would have passed him either way, even if he didn't give him the bumper. Byron said he was losing the right rear. No, I agree that Joey had a chance, but he didn't even try. He just wrecked him. I mean, that's the difference there. Now, retaliation for earlier, that's kind of garbage because the fact was Logano scraped the wall, but Byron was not up against him. Like, yeah, he ran him hard. He was crowding him. I'm not going to disagree that he was crowding him. But when Logano hit the wall, there was still a little space between him and Byron. So it wasn't like he got forced in there or pushed in there by a car on the bottom. He just simply got ran. It was a really tight, hard run for both of them. And he was on the outside and the air on the left side didn't hit. So, I totally understand being a little frustrated with being run that hard, but it's for the lead. You have to understand you're going to get run hard for the lead. Joey does it all the time. So for him to be mad and full-blown wreck the 24 because of that is kind of garbage. That's kind of a cheap excuse to say that, a guy ran him that hard and, coming out of the corner, I almost hit the wall. That's the reason you wreck a guy? Like, come on, that's a little much. Do I think Byron should dump Logano just like Logano tried at Martinsville to do to him today? I mean, yeah, that's the thing. Logano admitted he tried to drill him at Martinsville and dump him, and he couldn't. So, I don't know. It's hard to say. Let's see here. Do I think William Byron should dump Logano like... oh, yeah, I said that. I mean, I think if he's going to make his point clear next week when Joey Logano's inside or outside of him, you give him a door. I think you have to make it clear, like, hey, I don't appreciate that, and when you come around me, I'm going to just keep hitting you in the door. Like, I'm going to make your life uncomfortable because he's running faster than Joey is. Did Elliott pass Harvick at the end? I don't believe so. I believe he was running 6th, but Byron finished 13th. Byron lost 13 spots. No top 10 for Byron, no top 5 for Byron. He got wrecked. Like, his car was destroyed. So, just picked up Kane's number 14 Atlanta win color chrome. Nice pickup. I got one of those that wasn't in a box, and it's at my desk. That's the only car I have at my work desk. It just sits there because I had no box for it, and that was the place I wanted to put it. Pre-orders are up for Joey's win. Yep, I'll have them. I'll have the Elite and the 164th up here probably as soon as the stream's over. So I'll have I don't do one ARCs, so we'll have the Elite and the ARC and the 120. I can't say it right. 164th and Elite will be up after the stream here. Edwards shouldn't have blocked. Yeah, I mean, it's for a championship. Unfortunately, NASCAR put him in that spot. I really wanted that Byron Elite race win, but hopefully the checkers or wreckers, maybe. No, I don't think it'll get made because he didn't checkers or wreckers. He just wreckers. Larson at least finished second with that destroyed car last year, but this year, Byron I think he got 13th. Hate it when drivers throw back to themselves. Yeah, I don't know. I think the throwback weekend's going to be gone soon. I think the problem with the throwback weekend is clear that the cars don't look right anymore. Can't wait till Noah and Ty get into the Cup. Just imagine Noah beating the crap out of Joey. No, exactly. That's what I've been saying, Universe Cup. I cannot wait for these guys in Xfinity to get up there. Like, I am just jumping at the idea of Noah Gragson, Ty Gibbs, all these guys up there. Because you know darn well, Joey Logano does that to Noah, there's going to be punches. If Ty Gibbs does it, there's going to be punches. Like, honestly, the Xfinity Series has the best series personality right now. The Cup Series, whine and cry as a lot of people do. Kyle Busch is the best guy we got in the Cup Series right now. And we need more of it. Like, I love him stopping and getting out of the car and just walking to the garage. I loved it. I absolutely loved it. And I want to see more of it. So, I'm not going to lie. Hey, I also had to point that out. That's a pin from today's race. But, yeah, I can't wait. It's going to be so refreshing to have those guys up there. And when I say fighting for wins, I mean fighting for wins. Like, I am so tired of these guys getting just full blown wrecked and stuff, and the best they can do is call names and cry in the media. Like, if you're not happy about it, go do something about it. Denny Hamlin doesn't get in a lot of pushing matches, but he got into one with Logano. He went up and hit Bowman at Martinsville. All of those were completely justified, but I can't wait. I want that personality to come out, and I want it to flare. Alexander Stiegel says Logano keeps getting away with it. It's time someone puts Logano in his place. Yeah, I mean, my whole thing is just like I've always, thought. But if you're any other driver and you're racing hard with Joey Logano for the win, is there any reason not to just dump him? I mean, I'm sorry, but you've seen him do it to so many other people. You should. I mean, I don't know. I understand the idea of like race guys the way you want to get raced, but when you see a guy just blatantly race people like I mean, the Pocono race is a perfect example. Mark Martin has been the most respected veteran. What does he do? He runs right into the back of him and sends him up the hill at Pocono of all places. And it's like that means something. That basically, I don't care how you all race. I'm just going to race you like this. But if you race me back, I'm going to get mad about it. So, I just think that'd be interesting. What's the website for me? It's rasdiecast.com. So as I said, that one won't be up until after the stream, but you can get the Elite or the 164th over there. Promo code, by the way, promo code RaceCraze for free shipping. So you should get free shipping, at least on the 124s. But you got to use the promo code RaceCraze to get that free shipping. I bet the Racewin diecast will look good in 1,000 pieces. It'll look good. There's confetti on it and some stuff, but I think it'll be fine. Kobe says Joey Logano and Max Verstappen, two Mickey Mouse champs who drive the same way. Yeah, I mean Max Verstappen takes advantage of good people's goodwill too. I mean he literally just sends it in when a guy should just turn into him and wreck them both, but they don't want to wreck themselves either. So. At the end of the day, the difference is I would say that Max Verstappen can at least outrun the rest of the field at times, where Joey has not had that ability in the last 3 years. So that does make a difference. Let's see here. Honestly, though, is it any worse than Craven and Busch? Craven literally side-slammed Kurt. No, I mean, but you got to remember, Jeff, I want to say Kurt and Craven both had been in the wall within the last 3 laps of battling. Like these guys were hitting each other, and both of them were ending up in the wall, but they still were trying to race for the win. At no point did Craven just get to his corner panel and say, "I'm just going to wreck him." Their goal was for both of them was to get to the flag. Joey Logano's goal was not to get to the flag. His goal was to get Byron wrecked because then he wouldn't have to race him. That's what I don't like. I want guys to race to the line. I don't want someone's mentality to be, oh, well, I know I'm at Martinsville, so if I just send him up into the third groove, I won't have to race him back around to the next line. I'll just win. That's not good racing. Your intention, understand mistakes happen, but your intention should be for both cars to race to the line. Whoever was faster wins the race. And instead, you have guys just getting full-blown wrecked. And, I mean, Byron's car is wrecked. Like, there's no arguing that. His car's, that's a wrecked race car. All right, I think when they moved the numbers forward, it ruined the throwback weekend, or at least move it forward. I think the problem is throwback weekend got moved to the spring where it doesn't belong. It belongs in the Southern 500 because the Southern 500 is an old school race. Now, I do think it could still be used. I think you could still revitalize it. I think if you want throwback weekend to get back to its peak, you have throwback weekend on Labor Day weekend. You run all 500 miles, no stages, double points for the race, whatever. I don't care, but just no stages. Nice, big, long race where guys are really racing the racetrack. So, and you go old school rules. I mean, not all the rules, you can still have some of them, but, I'm okay with having an old school race as your throwback race, and you use old school rules. I think people might not like parts of it, but I think it would put on a very interesting show. If anything, it does the whole difference factor. It's different, therefore everyone thinks it's good. And it doesn't mean it will be, but at least if it's different, it means you're trying. All right, this might be early, but I think Byron has a shot to win the Cup. I like your optimism, Copper, but unfortunately, I don't like his chances to even get to the Final Four. And it's not because of Byron. It's because he doesn't do anything. People can just run him over. The wreck at the end of the Xfinity Series looked a lot like Earnhardt's. Yeah, that was unfortunate. It just got squeezed in the wall. It was just sucks for Jeremy Clemens. He had a good run going. Am I going to have Gregson's Wendy's car on my website? I think I already do, actually, Universe. I have the Elite and the 164th. If you guys are looking for one, looking for the ARCs, let me know, because I mostly wasn't doing those because there wasn't a huge number of people wanting the ARCs. So I just decided to go Elites and 164th. It's just less for me to have to try and get in and out. But if you guys are wanting them, let me know. I'll bring them in. Did I watch the F1 race? I thought it was solid. Yeah, Parker, it was a decent race. I mean, when people say it was boring, it's because it's been over dramatized on Netflix. Their expectation is this massively dramatic race, and the fact is, it's not what it is. It was fine. The race did just fine. I think F1 has a much more superior product than IndyCar. And I know a lot of IndyCar stands are going to not like that, but I think that DRS system really helps because I don't want it to be everywhere on the track, but it allows the strategy to really take place a little better. The problem I have with IndyCar is like last weekend, you're going to be lucky if you pass 3 cars in a run, and I don't think that's good for racing. The idea that you're on fresh tires and the other guys aren't, but you're going to be lucky if you can even pass 3 cars without the whole course of a run. I don't think that's good. That's not good. Joey Logano wrecked him for the win. Didn't even try to pass him. Yes, he did, Lucas. I would find it hilarious if Bush's carrier goes into labor with 10 or less to go when he's leading. The happiest or worst race ever. I mean, at the end of the day, I think if you're leading with 10 to go, you just finish it. Like, I think the problem would be if it's 2 hours away. The only way Crybaby could win. Joey has been off the last couple of years, but I said he had a good car today, and the circumstances worked out in his favor. It's just said I don't like just wrecking guys. I just think that's a little cheap. I got Chase's 2020 Charlotte Oval win 164th to complete his 2020 championship set. Nice ad, AJ. Hope you enjoy having that. That's a cool set. Can Kenseth come back and wall Logano? I would not even be mad, Jeff. I mean, in my opinion, that one move was worthy of the Hall of Fame. Until NASCAR starts black flagging people for turning/wrecking people at the end of races, like that, as an owner, I want an aggressive driver to move someone out of the way. Literally zero downside. Well, yeah, I get what you're saying there, Josh. I completely agree. It's the smartest move. I just don't think it's good for racing. I think Joey and Byron could have had Darlington 2003 all over again, and instead what we have is Byron wrecked and Joey getting booed. And that's the problem. The end of the day, I think Byron was willing to race him to the finish line. I don't think Joey was even, he admitted he didn't even try to get him to the finish line. He was just going to take him out of the race. It was cheap. That's just what it was. It was cheap. You can, you can say that he had one coming or something like that, but the fact is racing hard on a restart and getting a little crowded is very, very different from full-blown wrecking a guy's car. That's totally over the line. And I'm not a fan of it, man. We don't need any more Mark Martin's throwbacks for a few years. Yeah, I like Moffat's throwback, but yeah, I agree. We've had a lot of them. I would say that someone won't win a championship because they don't do anything. Truex was already a champion, and yes, he should have been more aggressive. I don't feel that's fair to say. The problem with Truex is the only reason he was a champion was because he was so fast the year before there was no contest, and he was able to drive the last bunch of laps against Busch and close it out. But frankly, Truex should have been the 2018 champion. And if he did what he should have, which is, frankly, when Joey Logano goes to pass him high at Homestead, you put him in the wall. I think it sounds dirty, but it's not. The way that Joey proved how he wanted to win was by wrecking people. So I think if Martin Truex Jr. dumps Logano in 2018, we have a very different view of Martin Truex Jr. We sit there and say, wow, that was a great championship battle because the tempers actually boiled up and actually mattered. Where Truex got mad, but when the chips were on the table, what did he do? He just let Joey ring around the outside and disappear. Let's see. I'm not going to pre-order Elliott's 2022 Napa scheme till it comes out, but Lionel might screw the next gen up. We'll see, AJ. Like I said, I'll have the Elites and the 164s when they come out. So today's race was good, but the finish was really upsetting. Joey never even tried to pass Byron. Wasn't even close. He once again proved why I strongly dislike him. Always does these kind of moves to win. I can't even read that. What is that? Beazle fan? I can't. Whatever it is. No, I agree. I didn't care for that either. My mic is dying. Can't explain that unless it's just blocked. That might be all it is. It might just be blocked by something. Let me know if it's better now. If Chase Elliott had done that at the end of it, it would be okay. What has happened to racing here? Earnhardt does this pretty much every race. Yeah, no, I mean, there's a very big difference, Elvis, between rubbing and wrecking. Rubbing would be, a nudge, or frankly, hard racing on the restart where guys were kind of getting into the side of each other. That's a rub. Just sailing it in there and using the guy in front of you as your bumper. Don't get me wrong, Earnhardt did it, but people didn't like it. When he wrecked Terry Labonte at Bristol, people were not fans of that. Earnhardt was popular, but a lot of people said, no, that was trash. We don't like guys winning by just wrecking the guy in front of them. So, nothing's changed about racing. The only difference is now there's no repercussions. It used to be if you intentionally dumped a guy on the last lap, you got penalized. And it happened. It happened to, I think, Ricky Rudd at Sonoma, who I think it was Davey Allison was running second, I want to say, and just dumped him on the backstretch. And they black flagged him and made him go to the tail end of the lead lap. And that was like they said at the time, they did that to create a precedent that you can't just dump the guy when racing for the win. You have to at least try to race for the win. Contact happens, and they understand that, but you can't just straight up dump them. And I thought that was fair. How many of each can do I pre-order? I get usually 2 of each, and then if somebody orders one, I add another one. So I usually try to have at least one extra when cars are coming out. We need the old points back in 2018. It should have been the big 3 racing for the championship. 2015, Busch shouldn't have got it. 2020, Harvick should have dominated. Yeah, I agree. I mean, I was a fan of Chase Elliott winning the championship, but I agree. I wish they were on the old format, because at the end of the day, I think Busch would have won 17 and 18. No, sorry, 18 and 19. So Busch would still have 2, but Harvick would have like 4. I mean, Harvick would be like a 4-time champion, and Edwards would have a couple. Like, everything would change, and I think it's just, I don't know. It's not the best format. That's why folks need to not like Chastain when he does it. The same thing. We can't just hate Joey or Ty Gibbs when they turn people. I agree, Josh. I didn't like Chastain last week. I think I have enough goodwill from Chastain that I'm willing to say, okay, I didn't like that. Be better next time. Joey's done it so many times now that I've lost all that goodwill. I don't even care. At this point, it can be an accident. And he's lost that goodwill. I'm going to call it what it is. And that's the problem, is if Joey does it next weekend, I'm going to say Joey's dirty. If Ross does it next weekend, I'm probably going to say Ross is getting dirty because he's done it enough times. But that's the point, is if you have a tendency to do it repeatedly, and Ross has only been doing it for this year, or at least we've seen it this year. So, as I said, I hated that move last week at Dover, though. I was not a fan of him just wrecking Truex on the last lap for 4th. I thought that was pretty bad. Luke Will says NASCAR won't change anything about wheels falling off until something happens. They're always reactive and not proactive. Yeah, I would agree. I do think it's going to take something very potentially dangerous. Maybe we get lucky, and when the tire gets hit by a car at full speed, it goes up into the catch fence or something, and we kind of get maybe it comes back down and hits a car and destroys like a top contender's race because a wheel fell off. But I just don't want someone to get hurt, and unfortunately, all these tires falling off it's the inevitable end. You can't have tires falling off on racetracks and not get something bad to happen as a result. It's just a matter of time unless they fix it. Nova says he did dump anyone. He rubbed him. Put Logano on the wall last restart because he didn't put him in the wall. I think you must be a Logano fan, because I mean, Logano did barely scrape the wall on the restart. I'm not disagreeing, but unless Byron was up against him, that's on Logano. And I mean, that's hard racing. Like, certainly Byron had crowded him. There's no doubt about that. But the fact is, when Logano tapped the fence, he was in second, or he was against the wall, but there was still space between Byron's and Logano's car. So don't get me wrong, it was definitely really hard racing for the lead. Is that justifiable for wrecking a guy? I don't think so. The fact is, you're racing for the lead. Like, if Byron had put him in the wall, made the contact, sure, but they're racing hard for the lead, and there was still space between Byron and Logano's car. So, dirty air, sure, crowded, sure, but wrecking a guy and ending his race, nah, I'm not on board with that. Gordon would have 6 or 7 championships. Yes, he would, and I think we would all kind of appreciate him a very different way. I think people wrongfully put Jimmy Johnson above Jeff Gordon, but Jeff Gordon won with boatloads of different crew chiefs, where Jimmy Johnson only won with Chad Knaus. And I'm partially biased that way. I think Chad Knaus was great, and I think that I think that made Johnson's career a lot better than just Johnson. Ross said he knows he's got one coming. That's the difference. Yeah, I mean that's part of the difference. But when that one comes, I hope he accepts it. Joey didn't run into Byron. Byron backed into him. That's one way to put it. I'll give him that. If I don't know why Byron backed into Joey like that. That was silly. Do I have problems with non-payment on pre-orders? Occasionally. But a lot of that's just, part of the deal. When a car comes out 6 to 10 to almost a year after, some people are going to have different things and not pay. And so, you just kind of have to live and roll with it. So, if it wasn't for 2 Gibbs drivers, Byron spinning flat tire, Elliott would have been as good, if not better, than Harvick. No, I would agree. Elliott had a good season, but Kevin Harvick was just different. I mean, Pocono and Indy were perfect examples in 2020. They had something figured out that allowed that car to be much better aerodynamically, and it showed because, I mean, there were races you could see a guy pull up alongside him through the corner, and then he would just flat out burn them down the straightaway. And that's why he won races like Michigan, Pocono, Indianapolis, because they had massively long straightaways. So, that was, you got to realize too, part of Harvick's success came from races like that when you had these massive long straightaways, and the car still turned well. Don't get me wrong. I mean, he still won Bristol, but winning 9 races, you take out 2 Michigans, a Pocono, and an Indy, he wins 5 races, and he's right there with Chase Elliott. So, they had something figured out. There's no doubt. Looks like hard racing at the end. I mean, I don't know. I don't think hard racing includes just dumping the guy in front of you. I think if you're alongside him and you get loose and rub into him, but if you don't even try a different line, that's wrecking a guy. If he's on the bottom, you got to go high. If he's on the high side, you go low. But if you just run in behind him and punt him, that's not racing. That's wrecking. That's the difference. If you're going to race a guy, you're going to actually race him. Wrecking Truex, he could have given him the high line, but wrecking Truex, he just kept the line position that he already had on the last lap. I said I don't think that was hard racing either. He just got into the wall. He did wreck, Elvis. He literally finished 13th with a wrecked race car. Like, that car is the only reason he didn't DNF or finish worse was because it was coming to the white flag. I mean, he lost, I think the 13th place car was over 12 seconds behind the pace. So he wrecked him. He didn't put him in the wall. He wrecked him. That car was junk. Byron called Logano in a different interview. Well, again, until Byron actually does something, I don't care. Like, Byron's all bark and no bite. And until Byron does some biting, I'm not going to take anything he says seriously. Of course, I'm biased, but I think Chase Elliott has a chance at a second cup. Oh, I for sure do, AJ. I think this year's a perfect example of that. I mean, this weekend is a perfect race to showcase. I mean, they had a wreck from not even of their making. A flat tire in practice destroys their car. They don't get to qualify. They have a horrible pit road position. They start dead last on the field, drive up to 20th in the first chunk before the competition caution. Then they have to go to the back of the field again because a wheel got left loose. And so then he still drives up, gets to the top 10, takes a long time to do it. He spins out, leaving pit road during the cycle of green flag pit stops, and still didn't lose that many spots. And, even with all those mistakes, he comes home with the top 5. So even when they are bad, and I mean bad, like making a lot of mistakes, they're finishing well. So I think they've got a chance, outside of the Auto Club race, they've been pretty decent in every race. Now, they definitely need to clean up a few things. I think Kansas will be a different race if he doesn't keep a clean race car. But, at the end of the day, they've just had good enough speed. But why is knowing I have one coming the difference? He wrecked a guy, and I don't care if he gets turned by AJ in a few months. I would say that if he says I know I have one coming, that means it can come from anybody. I don't think it has to come from AJ. I think that just means if you get, punted off the racetrack at the next road course, then you just have to accept that, like, well, I did it to someone else, so, it was bound to happen to me. I think that's a fair thing, but it basically, it's not any better. The difference is just saying I didn't like what I did, but I did it. Joey does it and doesn't admit, so that's just it. Let's see here. Will they make Elliott's throwback from today? They will. Finn, shout out to Race Grace for not having a horrible take on the last lap. Last lap? That was with 2 to go, my friend. But it includes last lap. We'll go with that. Elliott also spun coming off pit road on the second to last pit stop. Elliott was good at Auto Club. Probably would have won or finished at least second if Larson used his mirror. I think Larson did use his mirror there, Jeff. He said he didn't, but I don't know why you would have gone all the way to the outside lane like that. So I don't know. I wasn't a huge fan of that move. And it's not like it's uncommon for Larson to do. Go look at the 2020 Clash. It's a perfect example of that. He was racing Chase for the lead, went top to bottom, and just forced them both onto the apron and wrecked them both. Like, just stupid. So, I still like Larson, don't get me wrong, but, so yeah. Anyway, I didn't even get a chance to talk about those finishing guys. For those who didn't see, Justin Haley, top 3 finish today. Well done. And all he did was keep his nose clean. That's all he did. He kept his nose clean, stayed on the bottom of the racetrack on the restarts, and just stuff kept happening. And Justin Haley, top 3 finish. So well done for him today. I think today showed that these cars are still a little aero dependent and they need to get something to help them out a little bit, but I'm not going to complain. This is way better than the 550 package. I just think 750 horsepower would have helped a lot of this. So, I think that more horsepower would fix a lot of our problems. I think there is still some dirty air problem, don't get me wrong, but just decreasing is a little more downforce if possible. Work on maybe that diffuser, make the diffuser a little smaller so that way cars aren't getting stuck on the racetrack. Stuff like that, little things, but let's see here. Tricks and Chastain actually never touched. Cutting off to keep your own position isn't getting wrecked. I understand what you're saying, but having damage, Chastain could have given him. Yeah, I mean, I get what you're saying there, Steven, because the only reason that he didn't make contact was because Truex jumped out of it and tried to miss him. So I get what you're saying. You're saying, well, he didn't touch him, but, if somebody pulls out, and you're on the interstate and they pull off of the lane 25, 35 miles an hour under the speed limit, and they jump in front of you and you rear end them, they're still at fault for that, so it's the same situation. The guy's there, he's coming with a run, and if you just cut him off like that, if that's anyone but Truex, he probably gets bumped and spun and his car gets wrecked. And that's just, again, that's Chastain taking advantage of someone else's goodwill, and it also costs Truex. So, again, I think Ross will learn from some of these things. The fact is he's had to fight hard for every position his entire career, and like today, it bit him, but I think it'll help him to slow it down, not slow it down, but just ease it up a little bit. Like, hey, you're fighting for the lead with 100 laps to go in a race that you still have 2 cycles of pit stops left. Like, chill out. Like, there's no need to try and, race so hard you wreck, and, when it comes go time, you go out and it's go time. But, that's something that, you see out of Chase Elliott regularly. He loses spots on restarts in the middle of the race, but by the time the end of the race comes, you're not getting any extra space. That's done. And so that's the kind of stuff you notice is when guys get better, they learn there's times to risk it and times not to risk it. All right, let's see here. The old Verstappen move just got a dangerous move that goes into your way, basically saying lift or wreck. Yeah, lift or re-wreck is exactly what he did. And I don't like that, by the way, either. I'm not a fan of that. And Verstappen does it a lot. He takes advantage of people's goodwill, and that's just what it is. I mean, he's winning races because of it, but that is exactly what's happening. Am I going to the Indy 500? No, I am not. I've already got plenty of races on the schedule. I have 5 Cup races, a truck solo race in Knoxville, an Indy race at Iowa, and by the time that's all said and done, that's a lot of racing. If you hit someone else's bumper, not any of the other side are actually in front of the person that hit person in front is at fault. Oh, yeah, no, I see what you're seeing, Steven, but you got to remember, if you're on the interstate or any other situation where someone pulls out in front of you, that's still, like, it's their fault. I understand that maybe the traffic rules don't agree, but we can all agree if somebody pulls right up in front of someone going way faster. I mean, Kevin LePage is a perfect example. He wrecked an entire Xfinity field at Talladega. Nobody blames the field. We all blame Kevin LePage. So that we know what happened, you know. I'm not a Logano fan, but in my opinion, that's just racing. Well, Denny Hamlin fan, if Denny gets wrecked, I want you to say the same thing. Because if it's, you know, I thought what Bowman did to Denny last year was, I mean, Bowman made a mistake and wrecked Hamlin. And I thought that wasn't great racing. I don't think it was intentional, but that's not good racing. That's mistake racing. But intentionally dumping the guy in front of you, that's not racing. That's not good. That's just not good. I mean, what you end up with, you think iRacing, or not even iRacing, but video game racing, that's what's going to come to the Cup Series. And I don't think that's good, because you never have side-by-side finishes in video games. You have everybody crashing coming to the line. And I don't want to see that. I want guys to race to the line, because that's what made, you know, so many good finishes. You know, anyway, it's very similar to the Kyle Larson Chicago finish. You know, he hit Kyle Busch and put him in the wall. And it was completely justified that Busch bumped him and sent him into the next corner. That was justified. I didn't have a problem, because it was, you tried to wreck me, I wrecked you back. If it was a little bump, that's very different. But, you know, Kyle admitted he wiped the whole right side off Kyle Busch's car because of it. Did Elliott extend his points lead? Probably over Blaney, but I think Byron will get a little closer. Shocked I'm going back to Knoxville. No, Jeff, it was awesome. I think the race, I think Twitter didn't help that race. I think NASCAR didn't help that race. They didn't let the track prep themselves right. But Knoxville was great. The heat races were really good. The first two stages were honestly pretty good. The biggest problem that NASCAR ran into is they didn't let them prep the whole racetrack before that race started, and the bottom lane got too rutted in. And, you know, I don't think that Knoxville was the problem. I think that was race car drivers, because, yeah, it was honestly a decent show for 2/3 of it, and then it got just really bad at the end because drivers kept ramming into each other. So, you know, I think Knoxville gets a bad rap for that. It's a great facility. The racing was solid, but just, as I said, Truck Series didn't help that. How long are you staying live? Probably not too much longer. Probably going to go and get some food made and get my website link set up for the Logano win. Let's see here. I do agree with you that Chastain is still growing and learning how to pace himself in the longer races. Today reverted. He saved it a few times in the same position and probably got greedy. Yeah, Steven, I mean, the best way to put it is you don't need to put yourself in that position, you know, until it's the last restart of the race. Like, you don't need to be racing that hard for the lead, you know, at the very start of stage 3. You got pit road cycles and all these things that are going to happen. Like, chill out a little bit. You're going to, you know, that wrecked car is going to mean a whole lot more than one position. Art Brandon, way to go, Joey. And Byron did do something. He did squeeze Joey into the wall. Can't believe I did not see it. I did see it, but I didn't see it as a squeeze into the wall as much as, I mean, legitimately hard racing. You know, if Byron had done, who did it last? Was it 2 years ago? No, it was the Truex. Basically, if Byron had done the thing where he's inside of Joey and he sandwiches Joey into the wall, that's totally justified. But Byron just raced hard and crowded him. The fact was, there was space. You know, Byron, there's a reason that when Joey hit the wall, Byron didn't have any damage, because Byron wasn't on Joey's door. That's the difference. So, like I said, if that's Byron sandwiching him in the wall, totally on board. But the fact was, the reason that Byron got away was he was not actually up against Joey Logano. He was just crowding him. And as I said, you know, that's hard racing, but you're racing for the lead. Like, you know, you can race hard, but that doesn't mean you just wreck a guy. I mean, good grief. If you want to race hard, dive down low and try to slide job him, and maybe you bump into his side or rub the side of Williams' car. But to just dump the guy was just too much. Let's see here. Martinsville by far. Martinsville is the least favorite. Yeah, no, Martinsville is bad. They need to fix something there. I think more horsepower helps. Get more horsepower, change a little tire compound, but they need some help. Martinsville was bad. Let's see here. Bump and run limit, so Joey will have repercussions. Well, until drivers do something, nothing will change. But I do think that, we don't need to have the idea of NASCAR being just dirty racing. I don't think that's good for the sport. I think guys need to be racing each other, and rubbing is racing. That happens. And as I said, sometimes two guys are going to wreck going for the win. But Chase Briscoe wrecked. Reddick at the end of Bristol, but that was not an intentional wreck. He did not just dive off in there to wreck Reddick. He spun. He made a mistake, and things like that happen. And I hate that stuff happens. That being said, if Chase Briscoe just sails it in there and drills him in the left rear and dumps him for the win, I hate that. I think that's a terrible way to win a race, to just dump a guy. I don't think there's a good excuse for a guy just dumping a guy that's racing for the win. Let's see here. What a bunch of whiners. That sounds like a Logano fan. That sounds about right. Those are the same people that cried a river when Chase ran out of talent and wrecked him at Bristol. They cried a river for 2 weeks about how, it was so awful that Chase did that. And it's like, yeah, Chase made a mistake. I'm on board with that. But if Joey hadn't done it 100 times before, I don't think people may have felt bad for him. But when Joey runs people over all the time, it's like him getting run over was just a breath of fresh air at that point. So, yeah. All I can say is if Joey gets dumped next week by Byron, don't cry me a river. Call that racing, because if that's what you call racing, whatever. I'm not a fan of it. NASCAR can black flag people and dole out penalties. Bunch of things to try to prevent the dirty racing. Like I said, Josh, I think the best way to do it is just if you're racing for the lead, you can judge what's intentional. That's my way to put it. You can just judge what's intentional. And if you intentionally wreck the guy in front of you, that's bad. I don't think there's any other way around it. It's bad. I think if you're go in second and the guy in front of you is leading and you intentionally crash the guy and take the win, there should be a penalty. And even if you don't take the win, even if you finish second, if you intentionally crash the guy. Now, what does that mean if you intentionally crash the guy? That means intentionally blowing a corner way over your head and wrecking the guy. There's a very big difference between, say, what Chase and Blaney had happen last year at the Daytona Road Course. What happened with, frankly, I'm having to remember the name. I think it was 2 years ago. It was Truex and Elliott. Truex kind of cleared himself, and it was still plenty of laps to go. But I think that was just, hard racing. He made, there was a mistake made, but that was not intentionally trying to crash either of them. That's the difference. When you intentionally try to crash someone, that's where I don't like it. Don't intentionally crash people, period. So, let's see here. How can we have unnecessary cautions and not use them as they should, the last 2 laps? I don't like green, white checker finishes, so I'm actually okay with the way it finished. I just think Logano should have faced a 1-lap penalty for intentionally crashing the leader of the race. No defending Logano at all, but either he's also probably knew that he had to get by him quick. The arrow push is still, sadly and comically, a thing. It's actually possible just as bad as the last gen. No, I agree. There's definitely an element of that. Like, you need to get by him quick, but he didn't pick a different lane. If he wanted to just get by him past, slide job it. Send it all the way in on the bottom, completely blow the corner, and then just get up and block. Like, I'm okay with that. Slide job the guy, but he didn't. He literally dumped him. He went in right behind him and didn't use his brake pedal to ram into the back of him. That's what I don't like. So that's honestly the easiest way to put it. It's like, you intentionally chose to ram into the back. You didn't try high. You didn't try low. You didn't try any move to pass him. You decided, I'm just going to wreck him. And he admitted to it. That's the other thing. He admitted. So, let's see. Universe says, I have a signed Joey Logano poster from Pristine. Should I sell it? Yeah, better than, may as well get some money over before you burn it. Steven says, like I said, more horsepower could help it. The bottom line is the cars are still way too aero sensitive. Still hard to get within a few car lengths. No, I agree, Steven. I think horsepower helps everything. So giving extra horsepower would have helped a lot, because at least you can get a bigger run. So when you get a big run on a guy, instead of being at his corner panel or at his door, you're almost past him, and then you can just slide job and move on. Like, I think horsepower helps with passing, and that's the biggest spot you notice it is. It would have helped a lot at some of these tracks. So, all right, Brandon, Joey won, get over it. Hey, I said I don't want to hear any crying when Joey gets wrecked the next time by like Chase or someone else just overdriving a corner, because yeah, he's got I think he's got one coming from Truex yet. He's got one coming from, was it Kyle Busch still owes him one? There's a lot of guys that owe Joey one. So NASCAR should be sprint cars on asphalt. Maybe not that lightweight and with massive wings, but I agree. They should have massive amounts of horsepower. Might as well sell it. Once I sell like 2/3 of my collection. Oh, if you're a Joey fan, man, that sucks. That you're a Joey fan. That said, I can't stand that kind of move. I don't like guys wrecking the leader. As I said, if William had full blown wrecked him earlier, or like I said, sandwiched him in the wall, go ahead. And even if he did crowd him too much and get him in the wall, Joey, go low and crowd him into the wall. That's fine. That's perfectly in line. Just ramming into the back and wrecking him is just that's too much. Anyway, I hate how drivers are bringing up stuff from years ago just to justify actions. Well, drivers aren't. It's more just the fans that do that kind of stuff. Only the Logano diecast I have coming is the next gen Clash. I'll have all of them coming. I always get one of each, but I don't generally keep them super long term if I don't have to. I've got some Joeys though. I've got his Daytona win. His All-Star win is really cool. A couple of custom Talladega wins. So I've got some Joey cars, but needless to say, I don't get any more than I need. So let's see. Oh no, like in general, my 124th and 164th. I just don't care for Joey because it was. Oh, okay, gotcha. You just got like one of them or something. But yeah, Joey. I want to have. I'll always have at least a few Joey cards because, as I said, I've seen him win 3 times. But as I said, I've always. I shouldn't say always. I didn't mind him when he was younger. I didn't like that 2012 move at Pocono. Like I said, I was there. I thought Mark Martin was going to win. It was going to be so cool. So I would have really loved to see Mark win at Pocono, but I didn't care for that move. And then once he got into Penske, he did it on a regular basis. He ran like a moron, and I'm just like, dude, what are you doing? You're just wrecking guys now. Sometimes he's standing up for himself. I'm okay with standing up for yourself, but like what he did to Kyle Busch at Vegas a few years back, Kyle Busch went high, he goes low, first one to the line, gets a position. Nope, he just sails it up in the middle of the corner and just rams into Kyle's door and wrecks him. And I'm just kind of like, dude, that was for 5th. Why did you wreck him for 5th? Like, your race was over, and you just decided when you went into the corner that you were going to sail up 3 lanes and just wipe a guy out. Like, that's the kind of stuff that drives me up a wall. Since when do you get a winner sticker on the car for a Clash? They wanted one because he hadn't won since, I don't know, Kansas to 2020 on pavement. He won the dirt race, but Joey hadn't won a lot of races in the last little while, so it's been a rough little stretch for Joey there. Anyway, guys, that'll wrap up the live stream. I hope you have enjoyed. If you're interested in the raced version of Joey Logano's diecast, that'll be in, or I should say, it'll be on rasdiecast.com here in just a minute, so you can go check them out over there. Also, gonna have probably gonna get Chase Elliott's Napa one added on there. I think they recently changed that, so I mostly do raced versions, but I've started to kind of branch back out. I'll at least see if people are looking for some other cars. So if you're looking for any of them throwback cars, you can check them out there. Thanks for watching, though, guys. I hope you have enjoyed, and we will see you in tomorrow's diecast review.